In continuing on this wedding planning journey, we're in the phase of floral design. And what is floral design exactly? Some people use the word florist, but I feel like these days, floral designer is really the term used to describe people who provide the flowers for weddings and events, because typically it's not just providing a bouquet, or you're not just going into a florist shop to just buy something that already exists. I feel like the term florist really refers to people who have a shop that you can go in and purchase flowers from, whereas a floral designer is someone who really kind of creates the look and feel of your entire wedding, oftentimes providing consultation on linen colors, napkin colors, candles, etc., and the full tablescape. So it's a little bit more than just providing flowers for the wedding. So here is my take on flowers, having worked on so many different events. Obviously, they're beautiful. They're kind of a standard when it comes to weddings and events. I feel like without it, of course, it's not going to feel as full of life and beautifully designed. They can obviously really elevate a look. It's not that you have to spend a ton on flowers, but they do get expensive. A lot of floral designers, especially if they're really experienced and their designs are coveted and they think outside the box, they can get really expensive. People price things differently. Generally, they mark up the cost of the flowers. So let's say a bouquet, the wholesale cost to purchase roses is $12. They'll mark that up 20 to 30 to 40% or whatnot. And then they'll also add on labor to deliver, to install, to put it together. Some people charge a percentage of the flower total. So it comes in a myriad of different ways. As I mentioned in one of my previous videos, there are definitely a lot of vendors looking to start out, so you can always find someone that's kind of within your budget, hopefully. But just know that flowers, especially these days, the cost of everything has really gone up. It is hard to spend, especially let's just say with a guest count of 100, it's really hard to spend less than $5,000 unless you really go with bud vase arrangements, which is like one or two single flowers in one vase. But of course you need multiples of those. I would say a lot of florists or floral designers these days have a minimum at least of $5,000. Some even charge minimum design fees of upwards of 10K. It just really depends on the type of person that you're looking for. Are flowers a must-have? I would say with personals and things like that, I don't think they're a must-have anymore. I do have a couple, same-sex couple, two brides who are planning on not having a bouquet, which I think is kind of refreshing. I feel like it's a little bit of a maybe just to help walk down the aisle a little bit less awkwardly, but I also feel like you can make that entrance. I mean, grooms do it all the time, just walking down the aisle, so why can't brides also just walk down the aisle without holding anything? I think personals definitely add up, because usually a bridal bouquet is anywhere from $200 to $300, and then you have your wedding party bouquets, which is anywhere from $100 to $200. Just that alone can be at least $1,000 just for the personals. I'm also not in love personally with the groomsmen boutonnieres, or the groom and groomsmen boutonnieres anymore, because they're a little bit finicky when you put them on all the time. I do feel like I've been searching for some out of the box, a little bit more of a unique, less traditional ideas for men who wear suits. So maybe I'll do a video on that later when I actually figure out some ideas. But I do think that a pocket square really goes a long way for men, or maybe a pin on the lapel, I think could be really chic. You can save like $100 to $150, because they're usually, well, if you have 5 groomsmen, they're usually about $20 to $50 a pop, just depending on who's providing it. So going back to my original question, are flowers a must-have? I would say no. There's definitely good alternatives. For instance, candles. You can make great centerpiece tablescape with candles, with pillars, with tapers, with votives, just a mix of all of them. I'm not sure if the cost at the end of the day would be similar or maybe a little bit less, but it is definitely a lot more sustainable, less waste for sure. And I love usage of a ton of candles. It just gives so much ambiance and romantic feeling for the vibe, and I really like the way it lights up a room. If candles aren't your thing, there's also silk flowers. I feel like this is becoming more of a trend. They do have them available. I think the hard part about it is it's a little bit tougher to customize, because I think it's easier to rent silk arrangements that are pre-designed. I've found companies that have styles that you can choose from, and they're honestly not terrible. I think the thing about silk flowers is that they're sometimes just as expensive as real flowers, and they're a little bit tougher maybe to work with. They actually don't look bad in pictures. I don't hate the way it looks, and I have done some research, and some of the companies that I found, it's really like $40 for a centerpiece versus real flowers, where most floral designers will charge $150 to $250 depending how big it is. So I think it's definitely worth looking into if real flowers aren't a huge priority for you and you're okay with a pre-designed look. I understand sustainability is a concern in general, but it's really easy to kind of forget about that when you're planning an event and wedding, especially when you're coming down to the wire. But a lot of things do go to waste. I have been thinking about ways to repurpose flowers, whether it's finding another event to donate it to, or maybe it's a church or a nonprofit organization. But I haven't really cracked the code on that. I do know some florists who are committed to composting their floral elements at the end of the event, which is great. I think there is an added fee, however, because obviously there's additional labor that goes into that. Guests can always take flowers as well, because who doesn't love fresh cut flowers in their home? But obviously there's a shelf life for that. So I really like the idea of potentially maybe finding places to donate it to after, as long as you have enough avenues that you can communicate with or connect with to be able to make those donations. Some things to consider when you're communicating with a floral designer: take the time beforehand to kind of figure out what you like, what you don't like. This can go for types of flowers, colors, different sizes of flowers. Maybe you hate eucalyptus, but you love ruscus greenery. I don't know. You have to just do a little bit of research on Pinterest or Instagram to kind of see what you're drawn to, because it'll just help when they're asking you questions. Of course, when you have a discovery call with a floral designer, they'll ask you these questions as well, but I think it's really worth it to do a little bit of your own research first before talking to them. Another thing about flowers is not everything's in season all the time. Of course, I feel like there are certain things that you can always get. It might be more expensive if it's not in season and you have to get it flown in from somewhere. Another thing about sustainability is hopefully most of the florals can be sourced locally. So I would definitely look at things, or ask your floral designer, hey, what's in season for the month that I'm getting married? Floral designers will throw around terms like small, medium, large when quoting you, but everyone kind of has a different perspective on what that means. So I would definitely get clarity on, hey, like you're saying this is a medium. I just want to understand what you consider to be a medium, because what if you think a medium is actually a small, and then, you know, come event or wedding day, they come with medium arrangements, but to you it's a small arrangement. So you want to make sure you're aligned on what they're actually providing. For floral design, I think it's important to trust the floral designer once you let them know of your must-haves, don't wants, and color palette. I think it's important to just kind of let them do their thing, because otherwise I think it'll just box them in a little too much, especially if you like what they've done in the past. It's hard for something to come out exactly the way you envision it. I think as long as it's in the general direction of your mood board, they steer away from colors and types of flowers and greenery that you really dislike, I think it's important to let them do their thing, and that way they'll create the most beautiful arrangements for you on your wedding day. I just wanted to give a top line overview of what floral design even is, of how you should approach your conversations when researching and reaching out to vendors. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful, and please hit that like and subscribe button for more content. Thank you.